Greetings and welcome to this edition of
Positronic.
I'm Barry P. Cook. I'm here to talk to you about the latest episode of Gotham Knights. It was called Dark Knight, with a K, of the Soul. Apparently, the police are looking at Turner for Cressida's murder because they found his DNA under her fingernail, which Harvey tells the police is likely not what happened. Stephanie reads the others the riot act for not going after Turner, and Duella, who wanted to go after Turner, joins in. But they quickly move to the map, which is supposed to show where Electrum is located, and they decide that Alan Wayne's signature in a spot where an artist wouldn't normally sign a work is the X marks the spot on the map, for lack of any other X marks the spot on the map. The Court of Owls leader guy, Lincoln, stabs Turner in the chest with a tool dipped in something, which immediately trips Turner out, causing him to run around Wayne Manor in a bit of a stupor until he comes to a room with his birth parents in it. With Harper's encouragement, Stephanie goes into a dig site, doing her best come hither thing, to serve as a distraction so that Harper can see if the company doing the digging has discovered any Electrum. Colin discovers a bunch of precision drilled holes in the metal map and transcribes them out to a plain piece of paper, thinking that if you connect them or whatever, it might show where the Electrum actually is. And it turns out that it makes the Gotham skyline as depicted in a 100-year-old portrait. And on the portrait is another Alan Wayne signature in a particular spot. Meanwhile, Turner realizes that seeing his parents is a hallucination, and Harvey learns that the blood on the mask he woke up in matches Cressida's. He then records a video in the event that he goes to jail for killing Cressida and the mayor, while simultaneously framing Turner, which he thinks he might have been doing unbeknownst to himself. The Knights go down into some tunnels looking for Electrum, and they do find a box behind a wall, which seems to contain something that may well be Electrum. Once they determine that, as far as they can tell, it is Electrum, they move on to trying to triangulate some things in order to find Turner. And by that I mean Harper and Stephanie triangulate some things, causing Duella and Colin to realize that the two of them are working awfully well together for people that didn't like each other before. And Duella mentions that if they had worked together this well in the beginning, they might all have cleared their names by now. And she refers to them as Sharper, which Carrie raises an eyebrow at, causing Duella to say, well, should it be Harfany? Which I thought was funny. Duella then just picks up the Electrum and walks off with it, intending to give it to the court so that they'll release Turner. And Carrie confronts her because she thinks it should be used to help people who are sick and could use a little immortality. And they argue about it until Cullen says that he thinks he's found a way that they can do both. And it appears that what he has in mind is creating some fake Electrum to turn over to the court in exchange for Turner. Cullen then finally says what everyone in the audience has been thinking, which is that Harper is falling for Stephanie. And he makes a sarcastic reference to Vicky Vale when Harper pretends not to know who he's talking about. In the hallucination that Turner's experiencing, his parents badger him about why Batman never determined who killed them. Then, when he comes out of it, Lincoln and the court do the same thing. Lincoln, in fact, comes right out and suggests that the reason that Bruce adopted Turner out of all the possible people he could ever have adopted is because he was guilty about having caused Turner's parents' death. He then asks Turner how it felt to kill the Talon when Batman couldn't even do it, and to join the court as the new Talon, suggestion which Turner immediately rejects, all while Colin and Duella make their way to the room to rescue Turner. When threatened with a knife, Duella reveals that she has multiple hand grenades on strings hidden in her coat, and Colin offers the rock in exchange for Turner, whom Lincoln then slashes across the throat so as to call their bluff on whether or not the rock is actually Electrum, at which point Carrie shows up with the real thing to save Turner, after which she turns it over to Lincoln reluctantly in order for him to release Turner, at which point he tells Turner that his offer still stands before leaving. The kids take Turner back to the clock tower where he's reunited with a grateful Stephanie. They share a bonding moment, and when Harper sees it, she's not happy because she does in fact have feelings for Stephanie, which I knew was the case weeks ago, and I'm guessing other people picked up on. It turns out that Carrie is dismayed about having surrendered the Electrum because she wanted to use it to save people who really need healing. But Colin assures her that Turner is only alive because of her, and that she really is a hero who is keeping Batman's legacy alive. Turner then helps Duella out of her bomb coat before thanking her for helping him, and that he suspects that she had some other agenda simultaneously, which she says is not correct because she was only concerned for him this time. At which point, he gets violently ill for some reason. And then we cut away to Harvey, who's done making his recording, only to find out that his other persona has already recorded a video in which he assures Harvey himself that he's not a killer, that Harvey is not a killer. And that's where the episode ended. So I like this episode just as well as I've liked any of the episodes. I like that they're showing Harper falling for Stephanie. As I've said before, I think that's cool because, she's this rough and tumble person, and the idea that she could be, she's got that hard Scrabble life and everything, and the idea that she could be opening herself up to, having a romantic relationship, I think is cool. Also, I like the fact that they're getting along and they like each other, Harper and Stephanie. I think, that's good character development. I'm wondering though if the writers intend for Stephanie's affection for Turner, and he has affection for her as well, to be a fly in Harper's ointment or not. Because I think that could be interesting on the one hand to see her kind of have to deal with that, Harper. But on the other hand, I like Turner and Duella as a couple more than I like Turner and Stephanie as a couple, and I want to see that go forward. So it it's fixing to get very complicated in Gotham. So we'll have to see where that goes. I really want Turner and Duella to get together. I think that's what should happen. And then that could work out for Harper if Stephanie has any non-heterosexual leanings, which, again, I would think is good. I like to see couples get together. I think it's going to be interesting now that Turner knows who the leader of the Court of Owls is. It's not a secret anymore. So what are they going to do with that? The situation with Harvey is getting hairy because now he knows for a fact that he's suspected, obviously, but it could always have been the fact that someone just put him out and put him in weird situations to make him think he was doing things unbeknownst to himself. But we now know that he definitely is, because he has, of course, no memory of making that video as, the other guy, quote unquote. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens there, because his other persona assures him that he didn't kill anybody. So what's been going on? We're going to have to see. I think that while I never found there to be anything wrong with the acting, except in the case of the person who plays Cullen, that the acting has really improved, even though I didn't really think it needed to for the most part. But it has really improved over the series as these characters become more multidimensional than they were when we started, as they're growing as characters, which they are. And I really think that's cool. I didn't like all of the characters in the beginning. I just kind of acknowledged, hey, those characters are there. And that's really all of them except Duella in the beginning. But I've really come to like all of them. I think they are multidimensional characters. I think they come across for the most part as real people. I really think the acting has taken a step up as these characters have developed and as the actors have grown into the characters, which is something I was talking about in my last review that takes time. Another thing I wanted to point out, and maybe it's because of the character development and the actors growing into the roles, that I've noticed for the first time that this show is really a YA show, a young adult show on the order of Riverdale and all the YA shows that we've had on CW. And that's either by design or it just turned out that way. I suspect it was by design. But I think that's probably what a lot of folks who don't like the show are picking up on, is the fact that it's not really like a drama for adults. It's not a, mainstream adult drama show or action show. It's a YA drama show or action show. So the writing takes its cues from different things than it would if it were aimed at adults like Superman and Lois is. And the reason I point that out is because I don't think it means that the show is lesser quality than Superman and Lois. What I've been saying so far is that it's not the same show as Superman and Lois in terms of, excellence. But I think that's a function of what it's designed to be and not a reflection of anybody writing it not knowing what they're doing, or anybody acting in it not knowing what they're doing. I think it's a really good show for what it is, which is a young adult drama show. I don't think it's trying to be Superman and Lois. I don't think it ever was trying to be Superman and Lois. So what we're seeing is not a failure of writing or a failure of acting or anything like that. It's just that it's not meant to be the show that Superman and Lois is. It's not meant to be the show that Game of Thrones was, seasons 1 through 6. It's not meant to be that. It's meant to be a young adult drama. And I think it has succeeded at that the whole time. And I think it's only getting better. So, I'm happy with it. I would love to see it get a second season. I have, reported that it's looking like it's either going to be Gotham Knights season 2 or Superman and Lois season 4. In which case, I would lean towards Superman and Lois getting a season 4, especially since they're saying it's going to end on a cliffhanger this season. But boy, if both shows could get renewed, I would be happy with that. I would really like to see Gotham Knights continue. I think they're onto something, and I think a season 2 would be an excellent thing. But it still remains to be seen. They still haven't said what's going to happen with these two shows. I'm hoping they're not hanging on until the season's end before telling us, because we keep hearing that we're going to hear soon, and I wouldn't call that soon. But only time will tell, so we have to wait, and it sucks. But, as soon as I know, I will let you guys know. But for now, I'm going to get out of here. Until I return, I wish you peace and long life.